Hello, everybody. This is the Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley. Every week we come to you with stories about innovation, entrepreneurship, and education as they regard to service to others. And we are always looking for those interesting stories that can inspire one to see the world in new ways. Think about ways that they can improve their communities, big, small, through technology, through old school means, whatever it might take. And to that end, we love getting really interesting people to join us and talk about the work they do. This week, our speaker is Brewster Kahle, and Brewster Kahle is the founder and digital librarian at the Internet Archive. If you're like me, you knew for years that this was around, but you never really thought about it until you got connected to it. In my case, through a really interesting article that got me to go up and visit in San Francisco, and at which I became a major fan of the kind of work that they are doing. Brewster is a former MIT person who has been involved in startups, who has taken a real passion and made it something very real in terms of building what we'll call, Library of Alexandria 2.0. I'll let him speak to that in more detail, but please welcome Brewster Kahle.
Well, Rushton, thank you very much. I really appreciate meeting you last week and doing this hangout. I thought what I could do is give kind of an overview of what it is we're doing with this digital transition of when everything goes digital, is it better or worse? And hopefully it's better, and that we could take advantage of this. So I could give an overview of what the Internet Archive is, and then we have some time for Q&A. Does that sound a good idea? And all right, so the way I'll do that is I thought I'd just give, it's not going to be a blithering set of PowerPoint slides. It'll just be a few just to go over some of the basic ideas of what's in the archive. So I'm going to screen share and make it so that so what is the Internet Archive? The Internet Archive is a 501c3 nonprofit library based in San Francisco. And the idea is to try to build the Library of Alexandria version 2. Can we make all the published works of humankind available to everybody that wants to have access to it? Can we build that vision of the Internet? Can we build universal access to all knowledge? Technologically, you can actually calculate it out, and it's actually doable. But can we get there through the rights issues, through the roles and responsibilities of different organizations? So what are we? Well, we're a library. This is our headquarters building in San Francisco, and it's full of techies, basically. And so it's, in some sense, looks a little bit more like a high-tech organization than your classic library. There aren't books in this building. There are people working away with a big fiber optic line. We've got a series of media types that we're trying to go and do. If we want to do universal access to all knowledge, we break it down: books, music, video, software, web pages. How much is there, and how do you get it online? So probably our smallest collection is our software collection, which I think we've got about 90,000 software titles now. And you can actually go to archive.org and launch and run software that was for the IBM PC or the Apple II or the Commodore 64 or the Atari 2600, and it's running in emulation in JavaScript in your browser. So if you go to archive.org, and I suggest you do, try it, go and poke around in the software collection to try to find something that you might want to run that you may have used in years gone by, but also it could be productivity software. It's the first time I've ever gotten to use VisiCalc, for instance. So try to preserve software and bring it to another generation, even though the underlying hardware platforms may be long gone. We also have a book archive where we're actually collecting physical materials. We tried to stay away from this and let libraries do it, but we found that libraries are throwing things away. So where we wanted one book digital of every book ever published, we're now trying to collect one copy of every book ever published, and we've got about 2.3 million now of physical books, and also digital books that are being scanned in lots of libraries. So So our book collection, we're also collecting movies and music, and trying to store these densely, cost effectively, good preservation, where the access copies are the digital ones, and these are really for the storage and long-term preservation functions. Um, we also have moving image collection, about 2 million movies. We either digitize themselves or people upload them to the Internet Archive. So if you go to archive.org, there's a little upload button, so please try it. Go and add something. But we get a lot of physical movies donated, and we've been digitizing like educational films, industrial films, old advertisements, those sorts of things, and making those available. They're much more popular than I would have imagined. The one in the background here is Are You Ready for Marriage, which is a social behavior film from the 50s or 60s, and all pretty weird, but people are very interested in trying to understand the 20th century by using these moving images that weren't necessarily from a Hollywood kind of perspective. We're also doing home movies and the like. We have lots of audio recordings, a lot of concerts. So we have the tradition that the Grateful Dead started of allowing people to record and share their concert recordings. Has been copied by lots of other bands as long as nobody makes any money, and so a lot of bands have given their permission for their fans to store these concert recordings at very high res on the Internet Archive as long as no one makes any money, and it's working. So we've got 6,000 bands and 130,000 concerts and lots of other audio recordings, and we're getting better at 78s, LPs, and CDs. We just got a collection of 300,000 CDs and 40,000 78 RPM records. So we're starting to get the technologies to bring these somewhat online. You can't go and just put all of these, dump them online, because people will get mad at you for rights issues, and properly so. So we're trying to figure out how to strike the right balance of providing some level of access and maybe directing people back to where they can buy things. We've also been recording a lot of television. So since the year 2000, Russian, Chinese, Japanese, Iraqi, Al Jazeera, BBC, CNN, ABC, Fox, 24 hours a day, DVD quality. We've been doing a thing called the Political Ad Archive, politicalarchive.org, and it is a site that allows you to see all of the political ads in 20 markets in the United States, and so we're learning where all of the ads are playing and how often, and then we're linking them with PolitiFact and other sunshine organizations to try to say who's behind it, where's the money coming from, and who's behind the organization that's fronting the money, blah, 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 blah. So it's Political Ad Archive is another service that we do. We have 4 million ebooks. So these are digitized books that we've digitized or other people have digitized. And you can search and find and download and play with them. If they're modern books, like from the 20th century books, then we lend them one reader at a time through the openlibrary.org site. So there's archive.org that has the Wayback Machine and the Television Archive. There's Political Ad Archive and Open Library are 3 sites that you might want to play with. And we have lots and lots of web pages. So we have these web pages, collections that we've been archiving over the World Wide Web since 1996. And so you can go and type in a URL. So it's not by keywords, or we don't know how to do that yet. But you can type in a URL and see past versions of a website. So that's a way of being able to see the web as it was, basically. Or if there's a 404 that you can go and document not found, you can maybe find it in the Wayback Machine. And so we're trying to make the web reliable with this, but also to serve researchers so that they can go and mine the collective knowledge of humankind and come up with new ideas. So those are the basic collections of the Internet Archive. It's made up about 25 petabytes of data archived, and these are some of the servers that we have in our building here in San Francisco. And the little lights are blinking as people are using the collections. We also help on by giving away internet access through a rooftop network, mostly in San Francisco and Richmond. So that's kind of fun. We're trying to figure out how to be sustainable, which really means keeping your employees being able to keep working here. And so we bought an apartment building to be able to have debt-free housing. We started a credit union to help our users, our employees, and other people. That's been actually a real struggle, and we actually shut that down because of regulatory pushback on not wanting new ideas around, would be the way I'd put that one. And we're also looking to lock the web open, and we're trying to make a more archivable web, a more reliable web. So that's the Internet Archive in a nutshell. It's hopefully that you can come to those websites and participate by uploading or using it, or commenting, or just playing around. So archive.org, openlibrary.org, as well as politicalarchive.org. So I'll turn off my screen sharing now, and maybe we could do some Q&A.
Absolutely wonderful, Brewster. I mean, it's so exciting to see the possibilities that are a part of this for kids, in schools, learning to properly build on the ideas of others. That's one of the challenges we face in schools everywhere, is how do you get kids to properly cite their sources and understand which ideas are theirs and which ideas are those that they're building off of. And to have this, kind of universally is a very exciting idea. I'm curious, when you began thinking about this, because you started this in the mid-90s, you must have had some sense of this is what, the Library of Alexandria version 2 is going to be.
Yeah.
What along the way has kind of been different for you? What has evolved in ways that were unexpected for you?
I've been amazed at how slowly it has all evolved. That we're now almost 20 years old now, and the Internet Archive is still pretty unique in building these things. Also, we haven't ended up digitizing all of the books that are out there and made them available. Google did with a bunch of libraries, but they did it in a way that caused people to get mad, and it got basically made it difficult to get access to it. We've been digitizing away, and so what I'm 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when I started in this whole internet space, um, we said, hey, you're going to turn to your computers to answer questions. And people just said, okay, and they did. But unfortunately, a lot of us haven't gone and done the hard work of making sure that everything, the best works of humankind, are within reach of our children. They're not. Um, when I was growing up, you had to go and slog your bones into a library, but it was all there. But on the internet, what's there is really easy to get to, but what's not there is almost impossible to get to, or people just don't do it. So we've got to go and get the rest of everything that's important and put it up on the net and work through the issues. Because if it's not online, it's as if it doesn't exist. And if our kids are going to learn from whatever it is they have available to them. And if we just give them junk or a superficial view or not the full in-depth debates of what it is the 20th century was, we're going to get the generation we deserve. So I find it a great deal of urgency to go and make sure that we've got the best we have to offer within reach of everyone. Now that they're looking for things on screens, they're using the materials all the time. We get 2 to 3 million users every day. We're about the 250th most popular website. It's pretty great, but we've got to get all the rest of what's should be shared up online.
Well, one of the intriguing pieces of the article that led me to you had to do with this very issue of what can people find online. And, as teachers, we talk all the time about, oh, be careful what you put up. It'll be there forever. But there's this opposite problem of things disappearing off the web. And there was a story, for example, about the loss of the Malaysian Airlines flight over the Ukraine that I thought was particularly powerful. I'm wondering if you could kind of tell that story as a way of helping us better understand
Yes.
the need to archive info.
So we archive the World Wide Web, and we have these robots that are going around and collecting things as they can. But they may not get to every page in a timely way. So there are about 1,000 librarians that go and set up crawls to go and if there's a particular unfolding event, they go and set up and say, okay, you should get these websites at these frequencies and the like. There's also a button on our site that says, save this page right now. This is worth saving. So, so we operate this and in these different ways. There was a airliner that was shot down over the Ukraine, and there was somebody, rebel of some form or another, bragged about shooting down this military plane. Well, it turned out that plane wasn't a military plane. It was full of a bunch of civilians and a bunch of people from Holland. And so they took away, this person went within hours, I think, went and took down their post that was bragging that they participated in shooting this thing down. And but during that time that it was up, there were several people that had gone to the Internet Archive, archive.org, web.archive.org, and hit the Save Page Now button on that post. And also one of the other crawls actually had gotten around to collecting that page during that period of time that it was up. And that was used as some of the evidence because everybody denied it afterwards, but there is now this post that was up there that helped at least inform the populace, and we learned about it through the popular press, going and using this reference as proof that this happened.
You must also get a lot of requests to take down information that you've archived.
Yes. There's a lot on the web that's not designed for the ages. And so you can go and put in a robot exclusion on your website, and a lot of people don't know how to do that, so they write to us. And if it's their website, then we'll take things down out of the Wayback Machine and make it so that it may not be embarrassing, or it may be a rights issue or something. But we only collect things that were publicly available. But if people want things retroactively taken down, we do take things out.
Cool. Got more questions, but I also want to bring in one of our members who was able to join us. We're recording this on a Friday afternoon, which is often kind of a tough time to get people in. However, one of our members, Nate Gildart, who is in Tokyo. This is not Friday afternoon for him. It's Saturday night. So, Nate, good to have you.
Yeah, happy to be here. Brewster, thanks very much for your presentation. I'm a history teacher, so I'm incredibly intrigued and feel incredibly stupid. Like, why haven't I known this, already? But very, very powerful stuff. I'm looking forward to Monday, actually, and taking this back to my classes, because I think my students are really going to be impressed with this as well. I am curious about language. So you're archiving, you got millions of books and other, resources and that. I'm kind of curious, like, do you work in several different languages? Are you working in English only at the moment, or the world knowledge obviously permeates language, culture, and all that? So
our website is only in English, but the materials that are on the archive are in all sorts of languages. So actually, we're very popular in the Arab world. There's a lot of materials that are uploaded. When we digitize books, we digitize in all languages, and we use optical character recognition software to try to go and make that more searchable and more usable. So these materials are in lots of different languages, and we try to make it available. But there are a lot of languages that aren't even supported that way, that well by technology. And we did a project in Bali, which is kind of fun. There are 3 million speakers of the Balinese language, but the kids are being taught Malay, which is a kind of mixed language. And so it may be that Balinese will be going away, and the way that the Balinese wrote books was on palm leaves, and so they would inscribe manuscript in palm leaves, and that was how they're. And so we talked in with the Balinese government and said, can we just digitize everything ever written in Balinese and put it up online for free? And they said yes. And so we've gone through and photographed all of these, and it's a collection of Bali Lontars. And now we're looking to take that and transcribe it into a computer-readable form, and then try to get it back up into the villages to reinforce smaller languages. I'm hoping we can use technology not to wipe out smaller languages, but to actually reinforce the economic viability and interest in smaller languages.
Yeah, threatened languages, I would think that even online lessons kind of thing archived would be a way to keep them from becoming extinct.
Well, there's extinct and just recording it and putting it in a bottle, which is one thing. But I
Mm.
really what we want is people to use the languages, and we want the translations. I think that Google used their book collection a lot by digitizing books. They had things in different translations, and they used that to go and teach their translation systems, which I think is fantastic. So that we can make it so that it's not as economically disadvantageous to speak a different language than the people you're hanging out with. So I'm optimistic that we can go and get at least a large number of languages, and then can we make open source versions so that there are probably going to be languages that are not commercially viable to go and try to support with the software investments. So can we get it so that people that are very motivated, maybe very local, can make the last other 5,000 languages be supported by our technologies.
Now, when I visited, I remember meeting people from a lot of different countries. People who are part of your team at the archive in San Francisco. Do you bring in a lot of people who have both tech skills and kind of culture and language, backgrounds, kind of in variety, so that you can tap into resources that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to?
The Internet Archive staff is fairly technical staff, and also we have 33 scanning centers in 8 countries, because we digitize about 1,000 books every day. And those scanning centers are inside libraries all around the world, which is pretty fun. So that's happening. But we're largely a conduit or a technological or organization. We don't know about Balinese Lontars or cuneiform or chemistry or whatever. So we're working with others to help empower them to the extent that we can. Think of as libraries as engines for research. So can we provide resources that they can't easily get other ways to be able to do their work?
And is that digitization process something that is also a piece of how you create the revenue streams that support the Internet Archive?
Yes, the Internet Archive, it's about $12 to $15 million a year, and about a third of that comes from libraries digitizing books with our staff. We've created a desktop scanner called the Scribe that people can go and buy and then scan books, and they get uploaded and they're permanently stored and maintained on the archive.org site. They also get a local copy, of course. So there's these. That's about a third, and then another third of our income comes from libraries paying us to collect World Wide Web pages for them, which is pretty exciting. And then about a third is donations and foundation grants, because we have such a high impact ratio for. So we're a bargain, because we basically we don't spend very much, yet we're able to go and inform and provide materials to millions. We get, I don't know, it's like between 2 and 3 million users every day, and that's an enormous amount of reach for an organization, and that's all empowered because of the internet.
Well, in order to make that work, I mean, obviously you have to have strong technologies backing up your efforts. I mean, are there, as you're looking forward, are there particular technologies on the near horizon that you would say are especially promising for the work you do, or perhaps even potentially harmful to the work you do?
The Internet Archive exists technically because of open source software and because of ever decreasing costs of computer storage. So we currently buy 8 terabyte hard drives by the stack. Just this last week, we have 2.3 petabytes of new storage that just came online. It's just amazing to me. That's it's mega, giga, tera, peta. So it's that many petabytes is now more than 2.5 just came online this last week. So that's all good news. But philosophically, how the Internet Archive lives is based on the concept of universal education and openness, and idea of access to knowledge is a good idea. It's a social good, that it should be supported. And that's not historically been a long-term thing. That doesn't exist everywhere at any particular time, and it generally doesn't last for very long before something clamps down on it. One thing that technologically could look bad for us going forward is if we don't have an open system like the World Wide Web, if it really starts to become more closed like the apps that are on iPhones. The only apps that are on iPhones are the ones that are allowed to be there by Apple. Well, they may be good, but they can be kind of selective. But having one organization say the set of information that you can get access to, that's a little scary. And if you want to go and change the operating system on your phone, then it's called jailbreak. So we've got to. We're going to need openness all the way down. And the internet and the World Wide Web and computers, but we now see more people coming in with mobile devices which are anything but open. So I think we have to keep pushing towards making the open structures reinforced and worthwhile. Otherwise, we will lose it. We will go back to how it was when I was growing up, which a few organizations controlled the distribution of whether it was textbooks or the news or newspapers, and everybody else is just, left to having dinner parties, discussing what it is they were told through those other channels. The World Wide Web and this openness made it anybody could be a publisher. I'd really like to not lose that.
Cool. Nate, I want to make sure that if you have another question, you have the chance. I've got kind of a final one myself.
I was just curious about one thing. You mentioned, kids or people searching for things on the internet and, sifting through what's junk and what's, knowledge or what's valuable. How do you vet what goes up or not, or do you just take everything and then scan or record or upload or whatever? So
we pretty much try to take everything we can technologically, and then we try to give some level of context around things. Mm-hmm. My kids they have a more refined method of sifting through crap that's dropped on them. It comes at them at a level and a speed that is just daunting. And so they're pretty good at winnowing away the weird stuff. But we've got to give people the background information of where this stuff comes from, the history of these organizations, and a lot of that's pretty obscure. You to judge things by, is it a .gov or a .org, and that's not good enough. We need much more information and easily brought into this context so that people can try to answer the question, am I being fed something here, or is this true? Mm-hmm. So we're a collected all organization that try to and then provide information around it.
That keeps you from becoming the organization that determines what everybody else can get to, I guess.
Right.
So there are two groups of people I'd like you to talk about, just to finish off our Q&A. One is your team and how they talk to each other. I was wildly impressed when I visited, and I would encourage everybody to go when they're in San Francisco on a Friday, midday, and go get lunch with this group, about how they report into each other. So I'd like you to talk about that. And then I'd like you to talk about the group of people who might be out there who might say, how can I help? What can I do to help, make things happen for the archive? So tell us about those two groups.
So the Internet Archive, we're trying an experiment of how open can you be. And we give everything away for free. And the closest we have to a staff meeting happens over Friday lunch. We have an open lunch, and guests come, and Rushton came, and I don't know, there was just today, there were maybe a dozen people who came from all sorts of places. And they join, and we go around the room. Everybody stands up and introduces themselves and says a little bit of what they're into and what they're doing. Their staff, and they say a little bit of what they did. It's sort of their report. So everybody gets to do this, whether it's the person that signs the checks or the person that replaced the hard drives. It's not just the managers doing this, which is still a small enough group to be able to do this. And it's worked out really well because it's I think it's better than a PowerPoint presentation about what an organization does. You get an idea of who the people are that are really making it. It's all about people. And in terms of how people can participate and how you might want to participate, and please do first, just go to archive.org. Stop looking at my face. I'm pretty ugly. Go to archive.org and just start clicking around. Or go for openlibrary.org or politicaladarchive.org and just play around a little bit. And if you get hooked, then maybe start uploading something, just something, and it'll be a little harder than it should be, but try it. There might be something that is really important that you think should be archived, and just scan it and put it up. Maybe it's for me, it was my grandfather's books that he wrote, and just photographs or something that's important to you, and start to participate in communities that leave a digital trail. And if you leave a digital trail with the Internet Archive, we'll do what we can to try to keep it up to date in terms of formats and available to people over the long term. So I hope you just learn to participate in some way or another, or go to the donate button, which is probably pretty hard to find, and donate some money. Donate some time, money, materials. Drop by when you're in San Francisco. Write something that deserves to be in the library.
Nice, awesome. Well, I'll give you the chance to finish off the broadcast in just a few moments, but just to finish off for all of our members and guests, this is the Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley. Rotary has dedicated any number of things that are designed to improve the lives of others. We have what's called the four-way test, and it comes to mind, listening to Brewster talk about the mission of the archive, and the four-way test comes down to these four things of all we think, say, or do, and that is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? And so that's that as a frame of reference for how we think about our world is one that I would say is not dissimilar to the way the archive is built to make sure that people have access to information in all sorts of productive ways, for sure. If you have been productively taking part in this meeting today, you'll find that the links that Bruce mentioned are just past the embedded video that is this talk, that is the program for this week's meeting. And so you'll be able to get to all of those there. If Brewster thinks of any more along the way, he'll send them to us and we'll get those in as well. But we also want you to do a couple of things. First of all, no matter who you are, let us know you were here. There's the attendance survey, and that lets us know that you were part of it. That gives us a chance to kind of send you a little thank you. We won't spam you or anything like that, but we'd love to be able to at least send a thanks for joining in. And if you are a visiting Rotarian, then having filled that out properly with your email address means that you'll get an automated email that you can pass along to your secretary for a makeup for a missed meeting for your club. And then finally, there is our Discuss section, DISQUS, and you can create your own Discuss account, or you can kind of log in via Facebook or one of the other tools that it allows you to do, and leave a comment. Let us know what you think of this program, of the ideas that Brewster put forward, that we've been sharing, the other pieces of the meeting. We believe that we can always get better, and we will get better by getting your feedback about what you see and what you think about it. So we welcome your thoughts, and we thank you again for joining us. So, Brewster, if you've got kind of a last thought to share with all of our members and guests around the world and everybody they share it with, we'd love to hear it.
Well, please participate in some way or another, going and making what it is you cherish or what you think should be shared. Put it online. Go and take the risk, the dive, and make it as broadly available as you can in such a way that other people can learn from your having been here. And the Rotary has got a long tradition of helping and being a public service, and being a digital public service is every bit as fun and interesting as in the physical world. So thank you very much, Rushman, for the opportunity.
our honor to have you speak to us for sure. Everybody, thank you again for joining us. We hope to see you next week.